What makes you feel old as shit? I look in the mirror, and that 72-year-old face looking back at me says it all. People who were born when I started college are starting college. I'm in my 30s doing an apprenticeship for a new career, and there's a kid in my class who was born the year before I graduated high school. Doctors are younger than me now. I was talking with the daughter of a friend, she's 15, she told me Harry Potter is an old people thing, I wasn't even born yet. I tried to pull something remotely similar to an all-nighter recently and got about 3 hours of sleep. I want to die. Being the guy that owns the Gmail and Hotmail email address with just my first and last name together. All the other same name people have to add a number or something at the end to have their name. Listening to Nirvana today is the same as listening to the Beatles in the 90s. The fact that we're closer to 2050 than we are to 1995. The 90s wasn't actually 10 years ago. Not knowing any of the newer artists at festivals. I'm an older first-time parent. Ran into someone I knew from high school when I went to pick my son up from daycare. She was there to pick up her grandson. Having to scroll and fecking scroll to find my birth year when completing an online form. People driving by me when I'm riding my bike, beeping at me and giving me the thumbs up like you go, old man. Apparently someone of my advanced years riding a bicycle is inspirational. Went to a public library. Told me that they no longer use USBs. Thumb drives. My daughter turning 40. I recently stopped smoking. One of the lasses I work with asked how long I'd smoked for. She's 21 and I'd smoked longer than she'd been alive. Positive news: 3 weeks without a cigarette. My hips, my swelling randomly for no reason but the onset of menopause, my silver hair being more than 75 now, and the fact that I can't eat most foods like I used to without some horrible side effect swelling, constipation, and my perfect natural teeth are starting to go bad. Oh, and anytime I start a movie, I fall right to sleep. Damn, also waking up to pee like every 2 hours during the night. Like WTF is that about? Tired face. People romanticizing the 90s aesthetic. One of the new soldiers in my unit was talking about how they learned about 9/11 in history class. Bitch, I was in class when that happened. Fuck, might as well join AARP now. I make a noise when I sit down, get up. The fact that children who were born in 2016-2017 are going to go to school dizzyface #dizzy, it feels like it's been like 2 years ago. The song Sweet Dreams Are Made of This is 40 years old. My shitty knees. A middle schooler now looks back at Nirvana like I looked back at Elvis when I was their age. Hearing snap, crackle, pop and then pouring my cereal. When people say 30 years ago, and they mean the 1990s, not the 1960s. The sudden appearance of my wizard eyebrows. I've been in the Navy for 14 years now, and I had one of the new boots Barley out of training ask me how old I was, and I told him I was 35, and he replied, "Dang, you were born in the late 1900s. My world has been shook ever since. Back pain. Channel 3 for video games. Hiring interns who aren't old enough to drink. Soon, hiring interns where I am old enough to be their father. Also, hiring people who don't remember 9/11. Because they weren't born. Hearing songs that were popular when you were in middle school and high school playing in the supermarket. My Hotmail account is older than most of my co-workers. I don't know the names of any social media influencers, and I don't care to know. When I talk about things I did as a kid in the 90s and early 2000s, and now people in their late teens and early 20s look at me like I'm an alien. I keep thinking, shit, that wasn't that long ago, and then I remember it was 20 years ago now. Hearing bands that I grew up with: Foo Fighters, STP, Soundgarden on classic rock radio stations. Pearl Jam is considered classic rock. Shoot me. Please. X200B. Also, watching Kevin Love hobble up and down the court, but knowing he is 12 years younger than me. What's a DS? When professional athletes I used to watch have kids getting drafted. Realizing that kids born far after 2000 are like functioning members of society now. When I see a photo of myself that looks my actual age, even though I feel 20 years younger. Y2K. When I see posts on here that start with people who were alive for 9/11. 90s and 2000s bands being called classic dad rock. I was born in the 1900s. I recently went to the Museum of American History in Washington, D.C., and there were numerous items from my childhood in there. Numerous items. Also, there is a plaque at our local lake from when it was built in 1986. My kids were all, "Wow, Dad. You're older than this lake." Watching movies from 2002 that once looked real and clear, and now they look fuzzy as old dog shit. Trying to pick something up from the ground. Hearing a cover of a song you remember hearing when it first came out. Finding 30-year-old women look like kids. Zoomer humor. There are adults now that weren't even conceived when I became an adult. My back and my knowledge of old computer games. Getting an invitation to my 25th high school reunion. Seeing current pics of celebrities from my youth persevering face. Not being asked for my ID anymore when buying alcohol. Breaking Bad finale was 10 years ago. Two things. Getting old enough to remember my parents at my current age. Spent an evening shift with co-workers once, all around 2021 in 42. They were talking about 90s music the same way we were talking about 70s music. Playing Radiohead like it was the hottest discovery of the year. The song 1985 by Bowling for Soup came out in 2004 and 1985 was 19 years ago at the time. Well, 19 years more after 2004 is 2023. Kids don't know what a house phone is. Kids do not know the world before internet. Kids trying to figure out a cassette tape. Kids think anything not touchscreen is a touchscreen. Knowing millennials are the adults of the world now and boomers are the grandparents. Time appears to be going faster, but that's relative to how long you've lived. I can go on. Musical note, my neck, my back, my ruptured vertebral sac, musical note. My tween son calling me cringe, loudly crying face. Games with shitty graphics, but incredible storylines. When 20-something-year-olds call me sir. I can't stay awake for more than 24 hours anymore. Saw a FB post from a guy I went to high school with. He was holding a newborn baby. Thought, good for him, having a kid at 45. Then read the caption. The kid is his second grandson. Pictures, man. Pictures camera with flash. The Nintendo Wii, my childhood console, was first published almost 17 years ago. That's pretty damn long if you ask me. The fact my daughter will be 10 in just a couple years. Being widowed already really makes that hit harder as well, knowing I'm old enough for that to have happened. Doing half an hour of any kind of work that I used to be able to do all day long. Also, standing up after sitting for an hour. Trying to put eyeshadow on and my eyelids are becoming like saggy testicles.